19 to the 82, 21%, 36 to 81, and 47.38. Okay, let's write down the definition of, let me get rid of these since we're going to ignore these. Cash coverage ratio is earnings before interest and taxes plus depreciation. Actually, it's EBITDA uh, divided by interest, right? If you think about earnings before EBITDA is net income plus taxes plus interest plus depreciation, correct? That's pretty much by the definition. Well, net income plus taxes has another name. Alternatively, this is equal to earnings before taxes plus interest plus depreciation. We already know interest and depreciation. If we can figure out that income, we're home, right? Well, let's remember net income. It's, I'm going to shorten this to EBT. It's EBT times 1 minus tax rate, correct? Well, that means EBT is equal to net income divided by 1 minus tax rate. Since we already have net income, we're pretty much home. Take net income divided by 1 minus tax rate. Then CCR is earnings before taxes plus interest plus depreciation divided by interest. So the key is to recognize that net income plus taxes is earnings before taxes, and we can calculate that. Let's see if there's anything other. Okay, we've done those. All right. You want to do some chapter 5 stuff? I mean, oh, of course. I mean, anytime. Let's go to chapter 5. Let's go to questions and problems. Okay, let's do this. For each set of cash flows, these are mutually exclusive. Uh, calculate payback and whatever. Now, remember, we have a template, investment rules template. Let me make this a bit smaller. And I can make a copy of it because I have more than one project. Okay. So let's call this project A. So in the exam, if you have something like this, all you have to do is create a copy and make the calculations. Let's look at project A. The inputs are 3 years, okay, life of the project. Cost of the project is year zero cost, 20,000. Don't worry about that. Payback cutoff is 2 years. As you can see, it completely ignores these. And this tells me on what year. Oh, I haven't entered these. 15.2, 5,900, 2,100. Okay. It tells me I get paid on this year, right? That's the point of that formatting. So that's year two. So that's my payback year. So payback period is 181. Okay. No, technically, this is project A. Okay. Let's do project B. Again, that's for 3 years. It costs 23,000. Payback cutoff is still 2. Cash flows are 14.3, 8,100, and 7,100. This one does in year 3, right? So payback period is 208. So given these, if you wanted to use payback rule, which one of these projects, if any, you would accept? Project A pays back in 1.81, B pays back in 2.08. Yes, because it's shorter. More importantly, the payback period is also less than the cutoff. Okay? Because if project A was, let's say, 2.01, your answer would have been I would pick neither, because neither of them are acceptable, because I want at most 2 years of payback period. Okay, let's look at the second part of that problem. Suppose they do MPV, which project should be chosen if the appropriate discount rate is 15%? Well, that's easy to do. Make these 15. So project B has an MPV of 227. A has an MPV that is negative. Okay. So if I'm ranking, I'm going to actually go with project B, correct? Because you choose the project with the highest MPV provided it's positive. Project B has 227. Project A actually has negative MPV. So you would go with project B. And of course, in this case, uh, NPV gives me project B, payback gives me project A. When there's a conflict, what do? We go with NPV because when projects are mutually exclusive, criteria like NPV, IRR, uh, profitability index, they don't know anything about the scale of the problem. Here, the scales are different. Okay, so when there's a conflict in the ranking, you always go with NPV. Let's do calculating discounted payback. Okay, let's see. This has cash flows for 4 years, life of the project. Remember, you only enter these green stuff. And the cash flows are 28, 37, 51, 43. Assuming I remember them correctly, yes. Discount rate is 9%. And the initial cost is 5,200. Now, in this one, I look at the payback on the running present value that happens in year 2. So discounted payback is 167. Okay. It says, what if the initial cost was 64? Now all I have to do is change that. I'm still getting in year 2, 197. What if 10,400? Now it happens in year 3, right? So I changed that to year 3. So 298. That's pretty much how you calculate payback periods. Identify when the payback happens, and are we talking about regular cash flow or discounted cash flow? Enter the proper payback year. Just read off the numbers. That's why we developed this template. When did you say you had to leave? Oh, okay. How about let's stop here and I'll start covering on the next session. I'll start with chapter 5 so that, if you want to come back and watch those, it'll go from there. All right. Well, since you're the only one that showed up, you got to have privileges, right? No problem, Kate. See you later. Bye bye.